Hi. Okay, I'm getting set up. You're going to be precariously balanced as per usual. Oh my god, this is not working. Okay, I'm aware that it's crooked. You are balanced on my purse using my pop socket to hook over the lip of my purse. So, unprofessional as per usual. Okay, so I'm here in my studio, as you can see. And we'll see who can join us live, but if you're watching this not live, then I'm also glad that you're watching. Hopefully people will be able to join because that will make for a better conversation than just like me like blah 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 the whole time. So I do have I called this coffee talk. I'm actually drinking tea. But it's super rainy outside, and so a London fog just sounded so good. So, it's delicious. I get it with soy milk because I'm lactose intolerant, but I also just think that the soy tastes really good. Okay. So here we go. Today I want to talk about medical fat phobia. This is a topic that comes up a lot when we do our live chats, and I have actually talked about this before in a video, but it was kind of a while ago, and I have a bunch of new subscribers, new viewers since then, so I thought that because it's been coming up so much and there's a bunch of new people, we'll talk about it again. So here we go. Oh, also, hi, I'm Laura Burns. Welcome back to my channel if you're here for the first time. I'm very glad that you're back, and if you are new to this channel, if this is your first time here, you get these amazing jazz hands. Some call them spirit fingers. Some people hate them, some people don't. I don't know why I like jazz hands so much, but I love them. Okay, so let's dive in, and let's just start with medical fat phobia. Like, what does that even mean? Like, as a term, what the hell am I talking about? So medical fat phobia applies to many circumstances or scenarios that you might find yourself in, but basically it all boils down to being treated a certain way by medical professionals, hey Donna, because you're fat. And small fats get it, mid fats get it a little worse, super fats get it a little worse, infinifat, size people, which is like size 6X and up, get it even worse. And on top of that, any other intersections that you might have makes it worse. If you're a woman, if you're a woman of color, if you're queer, if you're disabled, like whatever, like it all adds up and like gets worse. So I don't mean to be a downer, but this is kind of a downer topic because it's something that affects so many people, and it is literally life or death. So, and I mean literally in the true sense, not in the way that we use the word literally now. Not to jump too far ahead, but there are people all the time. Every year there's articles that come out about people who die because they're cancer or liver disorder or kidneys or like whatever is happening in their body is not diagnosed because they're fat, and so when they go and they're like, hey, something's wrong, they're just told to lose weight. And so like an article like that will come out and we'll start talking about it a little bit, and then somebody will go, this happened to my sister-in-law, this happened to my brother, this happened to my mom, you know, and then people start telling their stories. Like there are people in our community who have told that story before, and it's not signal boosted, a light is not shown on it, like people are not talking about this that much. It's crazy to me. Literally, fat people are dying, but nobody cares because they're fat, and like the attitude around it is like, well, you were fat, so it's your own fault. Some people, not in so many words, say that, and some people in those exact words would say that. Oh my god. Okay, so I jumped really far ahead. So let's back it up. medical fat phobia. So I, will mostly just talk about myself because that's all I know is my own personal lived experience. And I have a very long personal lived experience with medical fat phobia. So much so that I didn't see a medical professional outside of like an urgent care, like, oh my God, my finger's gonna fall off, or, like whatever. I didn't go to a GP, I didn't go to a gynecologist, I didn't go to the dentist, I didn't go anywhere. Unless I was like, oh my God, I have an infection, I need an antibiotic. It was always like a one-stop, or, a urgent care kind of situation. One time I went to the emergency room for something. But I just didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go and seek out quality medical care. I had health insurance much of that time. I still didn't go. And I know that to some people that sounds crazy, like, well, you had health insurance, why wouldn't you go? Because I had been taught by all of my previous experiences that I wasn't going to be taken seriously, that any problem I came to the doctor about, whether it be a cold or a broken arm or a stomach problem or whatever, I would be told to lose weight as a first course of action. I just had learned that I wouldn't be taken seriously and that I would be made to feel like a lesser person because I was fat. That would be the first thing that they would say to me is, have you tried to lose weight? Or they would tell me to get gastric bypass, or they would try to get me on like a medical weight loss nutrition program, regardless of what I was there for, whether I was there to talk about, I don't know, whatever reasons you go to the doctor, a cold, like anything, even if it had nothing to do with weight. And for a long time during that time period, or a large chunk of that time period, I also was very afraid of a scale and a number on a scale. And I'm not afraid of a number on a scale anymore. I have gotten over that. I literally don't know how much I weigh right now because I don't weigh myself. But I know my body. I know what it feels like. I can tell when I've gained weight, or I can tell when I've lost weight. And I would know if something were wrong and I dramatically gained or lost weight. So for me, a scale is not necessary in my life currently. I know that there are some people who really use weight to track other illnesses or stuff that they have, and that's not the case for me. So luckily, I can disengage from that. But that was another thing. But my point is that I just didn't go to the doctor, which is bananas, because I think that all of us have a right to quality medical care. We have a right to be listened to and taken seriously. But I didn't believe that would happen for me because I had been taught that time and time again. When I did decide, hey, I need to go to the gynecologist because I think that there's something wrong, I was pretty sure that I had PCOS, and this was not recent, this was a while ago, and I tried to make an appointment. I researched, trying to find like a fat-friendly gynecologist, which is like so hard to do. And I know that there's like that one list out there, but in Houston, like there's like 3 or 4 names on that list, and like one of them was a gynecologist, or maybe 2, but then like one retired. Like, it's not great. And I have to say, I went to the gynecologist on that list, and that is my current gynecologist, and she's not that fat-friendly. She's fat-friendly, but not really. But it's like the best I can do right now with the insurance that I have. That's what I can do. Anyway, always accepting recommendations for fat-friendly doctors in the Houston area. Leave them in the comments below. In fact, if you have fat-friendly recommendations for any doctor anywhere, leave it in the comments, because that will help someone somewhere. Anyway, so I tried to make an appointment to go to the gynecologist, because I was like, I need to stop ignoring this. It's not going to go away. Like, I think this is what it is, and I need to like begin treatment. So I tried to make this appointment at the gynecologist, and I got an appointment, and I showed up for my first appointment, and they went to weigh me, and they have one of these scales that only went to Oh no, at that time I was under 300 pounds. So it went to 300 pounds. So I was able to be weighed, but I don't remember what my weight was, but it was like probably close to 300 pounds. Anyway, and they said that I was above their threshold for new patients, and so that they could not accept me as a new patient. So, cool. This is a trend that I'm hearing more and more about, is doctors, not just gynecologists, but all kinds of doctors refusing to treat or even like have on their roster or whatever, to refusing to accept new patients if they're over a certain weight. I think it's like 250 or 275 pounds, which there are a lot of people over 250, 275 pounds. It's bananas to me. And so I had to just leave. First of all, it was very embarrassing to be turned away. It was very traumatic for me because it was like yet another medical experience that left me feeling like crap. It was very discouraging, and so I didn't try to make an appointment anywhere else. So even knowing like, hey, I need to like work on this, and like I'm a smart person, I'm a strong person in my life, I'm a strong bitch, like I get stuff done, I have, you know, a lot of confidence in life, I've done some really cool stuff, I've had great jobs, but even I, you know, like, and I mean, in terms of people that I have known in my life, I was pretty confident at that point. Even I, like, I didn't have it in me to, like, try again because it was so discouraging and demoralizing. And so I made the decision not to try again. And then a couple years ago, I finally was like, I have to go. I have to go. I have to find somebody who will take me. I have to, like, do something about my health, and like, I deserve to take care of myself. And some people have given me a lot of shit about like, how could you not go if you thought that you had PCOS? And it's like, that's coming from somebody who clearly has not had a lifetime of these like demoralizing, dehumanizing situations. Because if you had, then you would not be saying that. You would understand, or at least like try. Anyway, so I went and did have PCOS and have been getting treatment and working on that. But like, dude, I'm gonna be 37 this month. I was 35 when I finally went and started getting treatment. Like, I should have been treated for this decades ago. Like, what the hell, man? Anyway, so I still don't really have a primary care physician. I have one that I could see if I really needed to, that I have seen before, who was not like totally terrible to me. But because I've had this lifetime of like feeling this way and having this trauma over and over again with medical professionals, I just don't go to the doctor as much as I should. But I do now go, like, if I have a cold or that's like bad enough or something like that, I will go. So I've definitely made some strides in learning how to advocate for myself. If I'm in a doctor's office and there's nowhere to sit, I ask them, oh, where's your accessible seating? And usually go, oh, what? Ooh. But it's like, okay, like each time I say that to them, like hopefully it's like eventually they're gonna have heard it so many times that they're gonna just get some seats without arms, you know? Or like when I get my blood pressure taken, because I have so much anxiety about going, I always have to say, like, you know, it's going to be high, you know, can you take it again at the end of the appointment? And I never used to advocate, so people would be like, oh, you have high blood pressure, but I actually didn't, because if they would then take it again at the end of the appointment, it would be normal. So I've learned to, like, okay, I have to tell them this, and to say, like, if you have a large blood pressure cuff, and I've learned now that I don't actually need a large one, it's actually reading fine, but that was big for me, learning how to advocate in those very small ways, but it feels like a lot when you've had a lifetime of, like, kind of feeling like I don't deserve to advocate for myself. Okay, I know that there's some comments. Let's see. Donna says, it goes both ways. Your sister was afraid to go to the doctor because she was fat. By the time she went, she had, yes. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, we wait, we don't go to the doctor, and by the time we go, we have something that we might have been able to catch really early and has not been caught, or we have something that we have something either that could be prevented and it didn't get prevented, or we have something that could have been treated a long time ago, like me with the PCOS. And yeah, it's like, well, you should have gone, but like also I should live in a world where I didn't feel trauma about, or didn't experience trauma every time I try to access medical care, you know? Your sister would get mad. Don't they think they know I know I'm fat? Yes, I know I'm fat. Thank you. Yeah, so that's just like a little bit about, I mean, a very like broad strokes situation with me and medical fat phobia. I don't want to go like super into like all the different details of the events and like things that happen, because it just makes me mad and it's depressing. But I want you to know, like, if you are a person who has experienced things like I've experienced, or any kind of medical fat phobia, if you go in and they just like immediately assume everything or whatever reason you're there for has to do with weight, or they blame everything on your weight, you're not alone. It happens to us. It happens to us. There have been studies that show that medical providers don't take fat patients seriously. They have these assumptions about us. This is literally science. It has been proven that medical providers they go into an appointment with a fat person and they don't believe that a fat person will be compliant with medication or physical therapy or whatever they need. They assume that a fat patient is going to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, like from the get-go. They assume these things. They assume that you already have diabetes. Like, they don't look at your medical records. They don't ask you. They don't look at the blood pressure or whatever. Like, they just have in their head what you have going on in your body. And so when I was younger and I would go to the doctor and they'd be surprised every time, oh, your blood pressure looks good. Like, oh, I'm so surprised. Like, yes, my blood pressure does look good. My blood pressure is a little high now. And that's, a normal person. Like, that happens to normal people. It's not just because I'm fat. Then people get high blood pressure. Then people get high cholesterol. Like, it doesn't just come down to the fact that I'm fat. But guaranteed, when I go to a doctor and they're like, oh, your blood pressure is a little high, blah, 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 like, they're going to, even if they don't say anything out loud, in their mind, they're going to connect that, oh, it's because she's fat. But like a thin person, if they had high blood pressure, they wouldn't necessarily think, oh, it's because you blah, 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 like you're eating like garbage and you're disgusting, like fat, whatever. Oh my God, I'm just like ranting now. Anyway, but that's why I'm bringing it up, because there's so many of us out there that experience things like that. And I wanted really to talk about today, how do we advocate for ourselves in those situations? Because I think that that's like the most useful thing we could do right now. So there are 13 people watching live, and however many people watching after the fact. What I would really like is for you to comment ways that you advocate for yourself when you are at the doctor. And I will share some things that I do, but I only know like a very small chunk. And I'm also not the greatest self-advocate at the doctor. I'm still learning. I'm still new to that. I'm really great at advocating for myself in other spaces, and it's, something I've been working on. But when it comes to the doctor, we have this culture of like, the doctor's right. Oh, like the doctor knows everything. But you know what? The doctor doesn't know everything. The doctor's not always right. And doctors get very little training in nutrition. And yet they will spout whatever nutrition advice to you just as if they were experts. But they're not experts unless they've done continuing ed and lots of training with nutrition. They're not the expert. Don't take their word as being an expert. Now listen, if it's something that they've had a lot of training in and they continue to get education in it, yes, they are experts for sure. I'm not saying I know more than a doctor, but I'm saying that sometimes I know more than a doctor about nutrition. Oh, Christy, you had a comment. On top of all the assumptions about a fat person being a woman, doubles it. Women's complaints are also not taken seriously. Yeah, Christy, and I was saying before, it's like, so maybe you're fat, but you're also a woman. Maybe you're a trans woman. Maybe you're a black trans woman. Maybe you're a disabled black trans woman. Like whatever. Like, there are so many ways to not be taken seriously, and you just start piling them on. And it's horrifying how not seriously your complaints will be taken. The fatter you are, the less seriously your complaints are going to be taken. And so, like, that's something where, like, if you're a small fat or, like, an in-betweeny sized person, like, you have some privilege there. You really do. And I think that it's important for all of us to advocate for ourselves, but I think it's also important for everyone to also advocate up. I've been talking a lot about this on Instagram, but just, like, advocating. Oh, and in my video before, after I got back from LA, advocating up and remembering the people that are fatter than you, or, you know, blacker than you, or, you know, whatever. Like, if you're white and able-bodied, but you're like kind of fat, like, I think that you have a responsibility to us, to our community, to help advocate, you know? So, like, don't just let it go if a doctor says something. Like, say something. Just because you can kind of squeak by, like, you know, say something. And every little drop, it's like when I say something about the chair. Every time somebody says something about the chairs, you know, like, it goes into their minds. I'm really working on advocating up. I have some size privilege. I'm not like the fattest person in the world. I'm definitely larger than a lot of people, but like I still have a lot of privilege moving through this world. And so I really have committed lately to trying to advocate up for people that are more marginalized than me. And it also just helps me like have perspective and be grateful for what I do have in this world, and the privilege that I do have, the way that I can move through our world, the access that I do have. You know, it's very privileged of me to say I choose not to access the healthcare because, because of bullshit. But, you know, like, there are people who couldn't access the healthcare even if they wanted to, you know? So, I mean, there's a lot of nuance here, right? And I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers. I'm just saying, like, what is in my heart lately. I see some comments. Christy, you're 46, 300 plus pounds, and haven't been to a doctor in over 15 years. And your job is tied to the medical field. Yeah, I mean, what I would tell you is you deserve to go to the doctor. You deserve medical care just as much as anyone else. I actually don't know how much I weigh. Last time I weighed myself, I was 365 pounds. I think I'm a little more than that now. I'm not older than you, but sorry, this is the most I've talked all day out loud. But I certainly am fat. And I certainly do take up a lot of space. I don't fit in the chairs if they have arms at the doctor's office. If I wedged myself in, I would probably get stuck and I would bruise myself badly. But I have committed to myself that I'm going to go to the doctor when I need to, because I deserve that. And I know that that's really easy to say and very hard to do. Believe me when I say that I know how hard it is to do that. But like, we deserve to go to the doctor. Like, how stupid is that? But I'm like tearing up. It's so stupid. But we deserve to go to the doctor. Man, I don't know. I feel very emotional about about this. Michelle, you tell doctors that you need them to be open-minded. If they don't seem that way, then you don't see them again. Do you, I'll read the rest of your comment in a second. Do you tell the offices why, like, I'm not going to, you know, schedule another appointment and this is why, or do you just not go back? Because I wonder, it's like, on one hand, you're not obligated to, like, put yourself out there like that, but on the other hand, if they don't know why you don't come back, you know, like, how many people have not gone back for that reason? And if we all would say, I'm not coming back because, like, maybe something would change. But also, like, it's very, it's a lot of emotional labor to put yourself out like that. It's very hard. This is all very hard. You've had so many issues with undiagnosed problem because your body seems to get rare issues. Okay, good. You do tell them why. That's great. Yeah, because, you know, they don't know if you don't tell them. But also, I'm not great with this stuff. It's really hard for me. I don't like confrontation. I don't like being rude. I don't like causing a scene, you know, any of those things. It's very difficult. So I probably wouldn't say it in person, but like write an email. Just saying like, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. And on the same side, like, I told my gynecologist why I started going to her. I said, I found you on this list because you are purported to be fat friendly. And she was like, oh, I didn't know I was on that list. Because I want her to know that she's on that list. And so hopefully that helps to inform how she treats fat people when they come to her. Natasha, I've been to the doctor about my weight before, and all the advice that I was given was a strict diet. Even we were asking help with therapy and your relationship with how you eat and why. Oh, great. And they just told you to lose weight. Thanks. That's really helpful. Oh my God. I hope that you have found like a dietitian or a therapist by now, if not, let us know, and then maybe people can recommend based on where you live or online. Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about before the comments. Michelle, you usually tell the person who asks if I want to schedule a return visit why. Oh, okay, so you just tell them. And if you like a doctor, you tell them why to their face. Yeah, that's great. I think that they need that feedback because they're not going to get a push to be more fat friendly, like from the establishment, you know? So anytime we can say like, hey, you know, I really appreciate the way you don't talk to me about weight loss or the way that you whatever. My gynecologist, the first time, second time, I don't know, maybe the second time I saw her, we were talking about like, so what do I do now? Like, okay, I've got PCOS, I'm going to take this, I'm going to do this, like, what do I need to do? Like, what would be helpful? And to be honest, like, she's not a nutrition expert. She told me to lose weight, which is, if you get diagnosed with PCOS, that's the first thing they tell you, which is actually not the best advice. People think that you can cure or alleviate PCOS with weight loss, but it's actually not true if you look at the science behind it. If you lose weight with PCOS, some of your symptoms might be alleviated temporarily, but in the long term, it's not going to help you. And it just perpetuates that diet culture, like yo-yo weight loss cycle, which actually continues to further damage your metabolism, and like mess up your body's internal functions. I'm so glad that I took this course by this dietitian. Her name is Julie Duffy Dillon, and she has this PCOS and food piece course that I took, and it really was the best thing I could have done. I took it right after I got diagnosed, and it really helped me understand the science behind of what is happening in your body when you have PCOS. I know that this is not like a talk on PCOS, but just as an aside, a lot of us have PCOS, so I'm just throwing it out there. The science is not usually explained to you by your doctor. They kind of just say you have PCOS, so that means, you know, your periods might be irregular, or you might have cysts, or you might have trouble getting pregnant, whatever. And like, that's kind of it. They don't really go into this is happening, which creates increased levels of this, and it makes it hard to absorb that. Like, they don't talk about the science. So it was really cool and helpful for me to understand like the actual science of what was going on in my body, and then have her talk about weight loss and how that affects the symptoms and the causes of PCOS, and how it doesn't actually fix anything in long term. So people who say you can cure PCOS with weight loss, it's not true. It is a lie sold by diet culture that's true. It's not true at all. And I know that there are going to be people who watch this and are not going to agree with me, and that's fine. I 100% believe it because of science. And so I don't think you're going to change my mind, but feel free to comment and say I'm wrong. Okay. Donna, you've never thought about medical fat phobia. You go to your doctor pretty regularly along with specialists. You avoid a gynecologist and having a mammogram. Well, it's good that you go to your doctor regularly. I would encourage you to go to the gynecologist and get a mammogram. I don't know if you've had bad experiences and that's why not. It's so hard. Like, you know, it's easy for me to say, oh, you should go to the gynecologist. But I know that it's hard to actually do that. Natasha, you've lost weight and learned a lot about mindfulness, and you did it without medical help because people weren't listening to you. Donna, your skinny daughter-in-law has PCOS. They put her on metformin. Yeah, I take metformin for my PCOS as well. And it's interesting because metformin is also given to people with diabetes, and I don't have diabetes, but I list it, you know, like on my medical history, like if I go to urgent care or something like that, or I go to a new doctor or whatever, and they tell you what medications are you on. And only once out of the times that I've had to go to the doctor or like had to fill out that form has somebody said, oh, are you on metformin for PCOS or diabetes? Instead of just assuming that I was on metformin for diabetes. In fact, I've had people say, oh, you forgot to write your diabetes on here. And I'm like, well, I don't have diabetes. But yeah, I take that also. Let's see, Pauline. Thankfully in the UK we have the NHS. so not the same trouble having to be accepted by a primary care physician. That's great. I'm glad that the weight limit and stuff like that is not a problem over there. That's like one thing, or I guess not a tick, but a cross. One thing you can cross off the list of like reasons I might be oppressed. Things that could go wrong at the doctor's office. Amber, you're late joining in, but you're in the same boat. You struggle with confrontation, but your default answer now is to request that they treat. Yeah, so actually, okay, that's what I was talking about before I started reading comments. Thank you so much. It's tips. Throw out your tips. Give us your tips of how you advocate for yourself. And what Amber just said is actually one that I wanted to say, and it is kind of hard to say if you're like us, bad at confrontation, but you just got to practice like having this, because I freeze. I'm, fight, flight, or freeze. I'm a freezer. And so when somebody says something or like treats me in a way that feels bad, I'm kind of just like, oh, like shut down. Those quick answers don't come to me. But I have found that saying, would you recommend this treatment to a thin person? Or would you say that to a thin person? Or would you have run this test for a thin person? Whatever is very helpful in kind of like shifting the conversation and like letting them know, number one, that you are going to advocate for yourself here and that you are aware of medical fat phobia. And that you demand to be treated well. So yeah, definitely saying like, would you whatever to a thin person. Also, I have found saying, asking them to note in the chart if they decide not to like do a test or they decide not to whatever. So like say you go in because you think you have, I don't know, something wrong with your bones or your, I don't know. I can't think of any medical issues right now. Say you think you have cancer. Maybe like ovarian cancer runs in your family and you would like to be tested or whatever, have some blood work. And they're like, blah, 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 you need to lose weight. Or like you have a pain. Here's a good one. I have a pain in X part of my body. Like my knees. That's a good one. I hear this a lot from people that you have knee pain and you go to the doctor for it and they're like, well, you just need to lose weight. Is that what you would say to a thin person? I would like you to note it in my chart that you're refusing to run an x-ray or whatever test for, my knee pain, whatever. So by asking them to note it in their chart, it's like confronting them with the fact that they're making that choice not to explore something further. And anecdotally, from what I hear, that is helping and making doctors kind of go, okay, well, fine, we'll run the test. Because like, here's the thing, it doesn't cost them anything. I don't know what their deal is, but, so that's something. I haven't actually gotten to use that, like in that kind of scenario. I did ask somebody to note something in my chart, about a specific blood work thing, but, anyway, I don't want to get into my personal health details, but I've used it a little bit and it did seem to work, but I know that people are really employing that tactic like in bigger ways and about like testing and stuff. So those are good tips. Sandra is saying, please get tested for diabetes. Yeah, I think everyone should be tested for diabetes, especially if you have any of the symptoms. There are a lot of symptoms for diabetes. I'm at risk. I'm at high risk for diabetes. I'm aware of that, and I do get tested. But I don't like the assumption that I have it based on my size, because thin people get diabetes also. Diabetes is not a fat person's disease. Yeah, but it does run in my family, and I do have PCOS, and with which metabolic syndrome is often a side effect or a thing that happens. So I'm at high risk for diabetes. But assuming that somebody has it, it's not great. It's not cool. But yes, everyone get tested for it because you want to be treated for that if you have it for sure. Amber says there are note cards you found on a website a few months ago that have different sayings on them. Oh, I've seen those before. Oh, yes. If you can find a link, post it in the comments. They have different sayings on them to advocate for your own care, but instead of saying it out loud, you can hand them the card. So that's really great for people like me who can just be like, oh, like shaking hand. And so, yeah, so that might be really helpful for you to have that kind of a card just to give someone. Yeah, great. Oh my gosh, yeah, find the link, somebody, that might be really helpful. Okay, what else? What else? Other tips? let's see. So I have found for myself, what I like to do is they always try to weigh me, but the scales at the gynecologist that I go to only go to 300 and, or maybe 350 because I'm over that now, maybe 350. And I know that they can't weigh me on it. It's like the old slider kind. And so I know that it's not going to work. And so instead of, like, the first couple times like the first time we went, I knew that it wasn't going to work because my friend, had gone to that gynecologist and told me, like, hey, the scale's not going to weigh us. And so I knew that going in, but I let her try. And then since then I just say, like, so a few times after that I would just say, you know, the scale's not going to weigh me, it doesn't go high enough. And now they've learned, they don't try to weigh me at all anymore. And they just ask me, like, do you know how much you weigh? Which I don't really. But I tell them, like, 365 question mark, and they're like, okay, fine. But yeah, and I used to ask for the larger cuff, and then they had one and they used it on me, and they were like, I just want to show you don't actually need this. So they took it with the small one, or the regular or whatever one, and then with the larger one, and the readings were the same. And so I was like, okay, well, that's good to know. Like, because I always worry about, like, oh, my readings are going to be off, but I think I don't have, like, particularly, like, large arms for my body, so it seems to work okay. So yeah, so I just know, and then I know to say, like, hey, you know, can you also take this, like, the blood pressure reading at the end? I get worked up. And so you just learn about yourself and what you need. I need them to not, like, try to weigh me every time. And luckily they learned, you know, so that was great. They don't even ask anymore, but, like, with the cuff, so that's good. Pauline, you've just come through a year of breast cancer treatment, which means you've lost a lot of weight, and that seems to be the thing, not that you're in remission, that everyone feels. Oh my God, Pauline, I'm so sorry that you've come through this year of cancer treatment and all people can say to you is, like, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. Probably, you look amazing. You're like, cool. Yeah, cancer treatment's a great diet, right? I wish that people would never comment on weight loss unless somebody says to you, hey, I lost X amount of pounds, I'm really happy about it. Then you can say, great, I'm glad that you're happy. But, like, unless somebody says to you that kind of thing, like, just don't. There are so many more wonderful, interesting, worthy things to compliment someone on that, like, weight loss is, like, should not even be on our list, you know? If you want to tell someone that they look great, just say, like, you look amazing, you're glowing, you know, like, wonderful, fabulous. You know, like, there's so many things you can say that don't involve, oh, you look great, have you lost weight? It's like this string of words that is, like, ingrained in us because of our culture. Yeah, I get a lot, like, I actually hear on YouTube, sometimes in real life, and mostly on YouTube, I get people saying, like, oh, you look so happy, have you lost weight? Or you look great in this video, have you lost weight? Or, like, oh, you've lost weight, blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, I can guarantee for, like, all of these videos, I haven't lost any weight. I might look great that day, but I have not lost any weight, and I'm, like, it's fine. Just say, Laura, you look so happy. Laura, you look so great. Like, whatever. And I don't handle it, like, the best, like, because I find it very annoying. I don't like it. Note to anyone watching, don't ever try to compliment me that way, because I don't like it. It's not, like, a compliment to me. Have you lost weight is not a compliment. Let's just, like, there you go. Have you lost weight is not a compliment. Period. All right, I think we're getting to the end here. Comments. Hi, Shonda. So true. I don't know what that was in regards to, but yes, so true. All right, what time is it? I gotta wrap this up. Class is gonna start soon. It's almost been 40 minutes. Well, thank you guys for joining me here to talk about this. Please continue to comment if you think of things that you want to say, if you think of tips, if you have any, like, resources for being a self-advocate about medical fat phobia. I would suggest you to check out the essays written by Your Fat Friend on the website medium.com, or Your Fat Friend on Instagram, because she writes about this kind of stuff really well, and she's definitely talked about medical fat phobia before. I will try to remember to link her in the box. I don't know, tomorrow, whenever I get to my computer. I feel like Micro Machines guy. Yeah, this is such an important topic. I don't want this to be the last that we talk about it. Any resources you got, throw them in the comments below, please, please, please. And yeah, I guess that's it. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see y'all next time.